Hello, this is Michael Gray with the Frequency Genome Project. So the idea I would like to talk with you about today is the divine matrix, AI, psychedelics, and the metaverse and cryptocurrency. Before I do that, please like, comment, subscribe, subscribe, give me some feedback, ask me some questions. Maybe I'll make you a video like this one. So, I already forgot the name of the title. It's so complicated. So, the divine matrix, AI, the metaverse, psychedelics, and cryptocurrency. What do all these things have in common? Well, let's break them down. Like, they may seem like a bunch of crazy things that aren't interrelated, but what I'll show you is there's a common thread throughout them, and it all kind of clearly fits together. So the divine matrix, what am I talking about here? So Greg Braden wrote a book called The Divine Matrix. And I met Greg Braden years ago. He was kind of a dick to me. He was younger, I was younger. It was literally like 20 years ago. And I think he was working on The Divine Name with Jonathan Goldman. I was there to see more Jonathan Goldman, I think. And he had he was kind of a snazzy little dude. And like, I was like, hey man, like, I know what you're talking about with the divine name. Like, I got this model of the universe and things like, and he just kind of brushed me off and was like kind of a jerk to me. For whatever reason, I was like, that's kind of messed up. And it didn't really come across to me. He was more ego driven. Now, maybe that was me at the time and so forth. Who knows? But the divine matrix, what he's basically talking about is that you have a heart field, right? You have a brain, like my model, the heart, the brain, the gut, and very similar, right? It's the idea that all of life is conscious and on some subtle mechanical field, right? The ichros, which you experience when you do ayahuasca, or in a higher state of consciousness. It's the idea that this is occurring all around us, and that the earth is conscious, it is interrelated through Gaia, and that every action is affecting consciousness and so forth and so on, right? And that there is a divine matrix, that Mother Nature is at its essence love, and it is this feeling of love or experience of love that is universal, that is interconnected between all things and all beings. And there's this divine matrix holding the universe together, but also our planet. And that you can experience this through deep faith, in his case, right? And what I would say is, okay, so what's the next thing? So let's move into psychedelics, right? Psychedelics allow you to experience this divine matrix directly, right? When you do ayahuasca specifically, right? Like you can experience something close to it akin with either LSD or psilocybin or the many plethora of psychedelics tap into similar things. To say that they're the same would be a gross overstatement. But to say that they're similar, right, is very true. But there's different flavors. And these different flavors correspond to higher states of consciousness that when your body naturally produces said chemicals or something akin to these chemicals. So think of it in terms of the cannabinoids, right? Your body has a cannabinoid system, and you can ingest various forms of cannabis, right? And that's why you get the good feelings from marijuana, right? So those cannabinoids or cannabis is slightly askew chemically from the cannabinoids that your body produces to deal with pain and things like that. Right, but they're similar, so you have a similar effect, but it's slightly askew, right? It's like getting the Kmart or the Kmart version of Castle Grayskull back in the day. Like, ask me how I know, right? Like, it's like the skull glows in the dark, which is an added bonus feature, but like there's no actual back to it, and you can't store your figures in it, right? It's the knockoff, generic, slightly askewed version of the actual chemical that your body produces. Okay, and that's both. So it has some good benefits that you might not normally get with your actual cannabinoids, but then it has some negative effects that skew your reality in a particular way that's unnatural. Okay, but if you smoke marijuana, which marijuana is a psychedelic, people don't consider it one, but it is. It's clearly a psychedelic. And you can blast off through ceremony and things like that using marijuana properly, which most people don't use it properly. Like tobacco and things like that, people don't use it in a sacred way. Like you say, thank you, tobacco, thank you, Mother Tobacco, and you offer the consciousness of the plant into you because it's a divine matrix and so forth. And so this is tapping into the divine matrix. These chemicals help us tap back in, their supplementations to the chemicals that our bodies can naturally produce. We finish up with the cannabinoids and give you an understanding of that. So when you smoke cannabis, it hits the neuroreceptors in a particular way, right? And it's not through the body's natural processes, right? You absorb it through the smoke, and then that smoke, sends it up, and you get the brain signals and things like that. And that process doesn't fully go through the cycle and the systems in the body to process it. So it's an exogenous chemical, right? Not an androgynous chemical that your body produces. When you eat that stuff, it goes through your liver, processes it, and if you've ever, it has a very different effect, right? Like if you've ever smoked weed and you've ever eaten weed, like you're like, dude, that is a different experience, right? And that is closer to the cannabinoids that your body produces because it goes through your liver, it processes it, and it brings it closer to that androgynous effect that happens when your body actually produces high levels of cannabinoids. Got it? So this is a similar thing with psychedelics, right? Your body produces DMT. Your body only produces DMT. Well, it produces it when you sleep, right? That's what helps with your dream state of consciousness and so forth and so on, and interacts with your subconscious, right? And so you don't produce a high enough level of DMT to get in contact with your subconscious, right? So your subconscious is a subconscious. Due to stresses in the bodies, traumas, etc., things like that, your subconscious is separate from your conscious mind. So you suppress it, you regress it, right? You're scared of it. You don't express it in the world, right? And so this is what we call the shadow, okay? And so when you get higher levels of DMT, what happens is your shadow becomes more integrated, or you're able to see it. You're able to become aware of it and to actually deal with it, okay? Now, how do you get in touch with your shadow naturally? How do you get those higher levels of DMT naturally, okay? What you do is you meditate and you create coherent electrical brain signals, and then over time, that process syncs up these things, and then you start to produce higher levels of psychotropics, and you push into higher states of consciousness. And your subconscious mind, right, when you sleep in the morning, or when you wake up in the morning, like there's that little gap between waking and dreaming and waking, however you want to talk about it, and then the same thing when you go to bed at night. That little gap is the gap between the conscious and subconscious mind. You change the focal plane of awareness, and I didn't know we were going to talk about meditation, but meditation in the title. And so you stay in that gap, and it changes the electrical signals, and you're able to grow the neuronal structures to stay in that gap 24 hours a day. So now you can see the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Like when Carl Jung talked about, until you make the conscious the unconscious conscious, it'll continue to rule over you, and you'll call it fate. Now, I don't know if he was talking about the extreme of actually being able to witness 24 hours a day and being an enlightened human being, but at least he was laying the underpinning notions of such. And so taking that idea to the extreme, this is what happens. You fully integrate your shadow. Your body is at rest, right? It is your ability to rest at will. It is your resting shadow aspect of self to manifest in your daily experience of life. And that's a little esoteric, but it's just electrical signals and the way the brain is firing. And those electrical signals are supported by chemicals, right? And neuronal structures. And so it's literally training your physiology in a very physical way to have a very subjective experience. And people are so asleep that they're unable to see the divine matrix. Because when you get these higher levels of DMT, you start to see what Gregg Braden is talking about. Now, you can do this through ingestion of psychedelic chemicals, or DMT specifically, I would argue. And the closer you get to endogenous DMT, the closer you will get to your body's physiological functioning into this integrated state, right? And we are so disintegrated that we see that as spiritual, separate, esoteric, and crazy, and only things that the ancients were experiencing. But in ancient times, they didn't have the systems and the stresses, and so they had regular shamans and people who experienced this, and it was part of their well-known cultures. If you go throughout these ancient cultures, and this is what Gregg Braden was doing, and he found that shit, right? He's like, oh, it's just like they know about it. And like we're so scared monkeys due to the systems we've created and our fucking society and shit, and the foods we're eating and the way we've trained our brains and things like that, that we see that as a scary thing because we're scared of our own selves. We're literally scared of our own shadow. Okay? And we do that through religion and repression of ourselves and our sexual aspects and our desires to kill, to fuck, all these types of things. Right? Now, this brings me to AI and the metaverse. Okay. So the AI, the reason people are scared of AI is because they're scared of themselves. The reason you're scared of guns, the reason you're scared of death, the reason, because that's your deepest fear. People's deepest fear is death, right? The reason you are scared of death is because you are scared of re-entering this divine matrix because you don't see yourself as part of it. You don't see it as, right? You don't understand that you are actually just one unit of God or nature, and you're a part of the cosmic play. That's not your experience of reality. You're separate. Your subconscious is separate. And you haven't dealt with yourself, you haven't trained your neurons to wake up as a human being, and you're in a low survival state. That's an actual real threat to other people. The real threat is not seeing that, right? The threat is reversed, right? The threat is not knowing and experiencing that it's okay if I die. It's okay if I have these deep-seated dark urges. It's okay to be the devil. Ooh. That's just your sympathetic nervous system, right? It's just your autonomic nervous system running back in the background, having base desires. And as Jordan Peterson says, right, like a good man is someone who is capable of great violence and has it very much under control. A weak man is someone who doesn't deal with that dark shadow aspect of himself, and it rules over him, right? And I added that last part just to let you know. And so that's kind of what's going on in society as a whole. We're very weak, and because we're very weak, these shadow aspects to dominate and to and to seek our sense of self and power over one another instead of over ourselves, right? To look outwardly for our expression and grabbing and so forth and so on. Our lower centers of greed and hate and manipulation and fear take over us instead of being fully integrated and being felt in the body. And so we act upon those fears. And so, right, like in the nuclear, like the game theory type of way, we pull the trigger first, right? Someone else is going to develop that technology. I have to develop it first and I have to get in front of these people and blah, 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 right? And we lose the game theory of life. And so, like, this is what's happening with AI, right? It's going to destroy millions upon millions, if not billions of jobs, right? That's just the nature of the technology, right? But it's going to be a small number of people who are pushing in these directions, and because we're unintegrated, because we don't see how to use a technology to benefit people in general, and our mindset is based on a fear mode, it will be directed at our fellow man, and it will destroy the jobs of many people. And the people who design that, right, are programming it in such a way that it will operate in that way. So it's just an extension of the consciousness of the individuals who program it. Okay? Or can be on either side of that coin. Okay? And then we take this into the metaverse, and if we take those same types of dynamics, those same type of algorithms that we've been using on Facebook, where we only let people who have money and beliefs aligned with us rise to the top of the cream of the crop, and we suppress the opinions of those that disalign with our value set and our monetary interests, which we've done on Facebook. And we push people down into their amygdala and so forth and so on. You're training AI to function in that way. And if you bring that AI into the metaverse and you build the divine matrix of the metaverse based upon those lower instinctual values, you create a detached, subconscious, conscious mind scenario that is not in line with nature. Right? And you say, what do you mean it's not in line with nature? Aren't I nature and aren't I? Yes. It's in line with the lower aspects of nature. And some of that has to happen in the same way that we had to evolve. AI will have to evolve. The metaverse will have to evolve. It will have to go through these lower stages of development, of destruction, of slavery, of these types of things. Right? But if we can turn on the divine matrix within ourselves, if we can take the idea, and I call it Andrew Huxley, and I don't think that's who actually said it, but that's who we're going to say said it. The quote of, what we have, the problems of today, are a result of the fact that we have Paleolithic brains or Paleolithic emotions, medieval systems, and godlike technologies, right? If we take that idea and we own up to it, and we realize that if we take our Paleolithic brains and we use that godlike technology, we will ingrain the medieval systems deeper, or even worse, into the loss of free will, mind control, and technological slavery, right? Or we take this idea of the divine matrix from Greg Braden, or from the Icaros, from ayahuasca, or in the Vedas, or from the ancients, and from the direct experience that we have through psychedelic use with Alex Gray and our own experience of the Icaros, right? Manan Icaros. You can't really see it. You got to get up close on it. Right? I don't know if you can see it up there. It's one of my favorites. But that is the divine matrix, the quantum interaction of particle states that are interacting with your own consciousness on that subtle mechanical level. And that is the quantum physiology. That's my model of it that I've drawn. And I'm working on a mathematical model to develop a coin that will balance that and harmonize that with the quantum divine matrix. Now, we can't create that fully for human beings yet. Right? Now, when you say create, it's kind of a dumb thing, because it's like I created a tree. The trees exist, right? But I'm allowing you to see the tree at a different level. What it is your subconscious and your conscious mind aren't integrated. But what that means is the timing of your nervous system and the rate at which the electrical signals are sent and the chemicals in the body and the energy and the functioning and all the things all the way down to the quantum realm are not balanced in your physiology. So, by taking people into the metaverse and showing them what the divine matrix looks like, by designing it with this architecture, right, of Easter eggs. It's like an Easter egg, right? This reality that we're seeing here is layered, right? But it's layered out here, but it's layered in here through a low rendering bandwidth, right? The idea that the signal rate that's happening in here is slow, and it processes data at a low rate of speed. Right, the light coming into the eyes and the chemicals and the rate of speed at which it hits the occipital lobe and those types of things. And that's because your pineal gland isn't turned on and you don't have enough DMT in your system. And when that changes with the electrical signals and so forth, like what you experience when you eat the cannabinoids or you eat the DMT that has a similar effect, right? Or you do long rounding of meditation and you push your body into a stress-free state where it can produce these chemicals. Okay, so the use of AI, we can generate those environments into the metaverse. And then we can plug into the metaverse using suits, haptic suits, that put our body in the correct timing sequences to push the human physiology, thus the human psychology, into where it can see. It can directly see the divine matrix in a virtual space, but also train the electrical signals such that the body learns to function in that way when you come back into the actual world. So we can use it as a training tool to model the ideal reality that we want to create. That is, where we're constantly awake, dealing with our subconscious, and in this heaven that we're already in. Right? And so the idea here for the Frequency Genome Project is to aid that process by developing a coin and a monetary system that is generated when you sync those electrical signals up in the body that register the divine matrix within and without. And so as you push in that direction, we generate an economy and a coin that pushes humanity in that direction. So if you develop a device that is able to push the human nervous system into that direction, you generate more of the coin. Right? If you generate a psychedelic experience that pushes people into that direction, you generate more of that coin. And we build from the ground up an ecosystem, a integrated divine matrix with the divine matrix, the virtual AI generated divine matrix with the physical one here. And so you take those processes from the virtual space and those electrical signals and that AI and that programming that pushes people into those experiences, and you bring it back into the real world, and you help people rebalance their signals and rebalance the psychophysiological body that is the electrical signals in the body. And so this AI would give you feedback loops, right? And then the user's coin would be generated based on how much of that divine matrix they hold within them. Like literally the electrical signals that they generate are the value of a human being, that they are holding together the value of the divine matrix. And their unit of value is encrypted by their unique signature of the quantum mechanical signals eventually that are right. Like we don't have a way to measure the quantum mechanical body, but we can represent them via the electromagnetic signals. And so that unique signature is your value. And that value, as you constantly move it in the direction of coherence, which enlivens the divine matrix, which enlivens your own physiology, right? Which helps create the field of the divine matrix and holds it more solid, because you are a unit. You increase your value. You increase the non-fungible coin or non-fungible token that is your unique imprint that holds this part of the divine matrix in order. And in this way, your AI can go into that virtual space and manifest and create from a quantum level and generate in a very realistic way. But that is just a training for you to re-enter physical space and interact with the divine matrix that is actually already here, Mother Nature. Okay? So this, right? Now, that is a good use, a good application, a best case scenario of how to use AI, how to change our economy and align ourselves with our highest level of selves, our integrated subconscious and conscious minds, with the divine matrix of consciousness that is already existing. As opposed to, and I don't want to talk too much in that direction, as opposed to low functioning nervous systems using that godlike technology to invoke tyranny and deeper, what do you call it? What's the thing they're all against? The fascists, a deeply fascist dictatorships throughout the planet, because that's the biggest fear, and the destruction of the planet and so forth, and seeing ourselves as separate in these things. If we do that, moving into the virtual space and metaverse with AI, we can do that at a faster rate of speed. But if we move in this direction, we can do that. We can heal ourselves and the planet and create a new virtual reality to model and to learn in new ways at a faster rate of speed than has ever been possible. And so although we have problems that may take 100 years to clean up the planet or do this or do that, we can solve those in days, months, weeks, years, and move into a new economy based on the balance and harmony between technology, right? Mind control and free will. Right? We're constantly doing those things, and we want to do those in a positive way. We want to use evolve the Paleolithic brain using godlike technologies to then use those godlike technologies to redevelop our systems. And I think that's an idea worth thinking about. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, give me some feedback, ask me some questions. Maybe I'll make you a video like this one. Once again, this is Michael Gray with Frequency Genome Project, remind you it's your responsibility to know the value of your awareness in any moment never ceases. I think that is an idea worth thinking about. And with that in mind, I'm about to go get into my sauna and meditate and do my own daily frequency genome experiment. Have a good one.